Facebook folks in here before it's officially time to go. All right. Boom. And boom. There we go. Welcome in. Welcome in. It is Thursday morning. And man, what are we going to talk about today, Scott?
I don't know. I feel a little bit like the scene in Good Will Hunting when he solves the proof and everybody's showing up to figure out who did it. And Alexander, is it Skarsgård? Alexander Skarsgård, is that his name? The actor who's playing the professor. He's like, seems like there's a few more people in here than usual, or am I mistaken? This should be hello, welcome to a Thursday Everyday Broncos for breakfast. Sometimes the headlines write themselves. It's a good day in Broncos country.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great day indeed. We got some folks coming in here. Jeremy Sean, good morning, fellas. Russ is riding all the way to the bank. Yes, he is. Kevin Gray coming in. Morning, Scott and Nick. Broncos country, 11 to go. Yes, it is. I'm mostly listening. Okay, that's good. Very excited for the season. Let's ride. Absolutely. Leaving meat on the bone from Jared coming in. He must have had a comment before we could see it. Chase coming in saying, I like how people call this an overpay. Watch and see the quarterback market the next couple of years. We'll get into that, but yes. Also got Addison coming with a $4.99 super, getting the ball rolling here. Maybe this is some Russell Wilson money coming down the pipes here. Maybe it's spreading the love. But he says, great move by the Broncos. The price is only going to go up for franchise quarterbacks that don't want a Dak situation. Absolutely. So excited about that. Mr. Scary, a quarterback situation has good hands for years to come now. Hopefully. But you have Russell Wilson locked up for sure. Jake Girard coming in saying, I love that we got a contract done this year because he might be the top guy for now, but in a year or two, he'll be making top 7 money. He's not a top guy for now, and we'll get into that, but there's some nuance to the contract. Bama X, good morning, Broncos country. Great to see you. Arthur coming in saying, Peyton the GOAT. Vin in here, good morning, Nick and Scott. Coffee, absolutely. We also got Greg coming in saying, Russ gonna cook. Steak and eggs, $245 million, absolutely. And also Dom's in the house. Good morning, Nick and Scott in Broncos country. Topic should be 80s horror movies. I'm definitely a Michael Myers guy. Halloween all the way.
I'm not a horror fan. I do not like the slashers. I saw the first whatever big scene in Nightmare on Elm Street in 6th grade. I had nightmares for 3 years. I am not a slasher guy. Just not at all.
Oh man, Jamie Lee Curtis kills it. That's a great one.
I'm a Jamie. I'm a attractive woman guy. Don't get me wrong on that one, but I don't need gratuitous nudity in slashers. You can find that pretty much anywhere.
That's true. That's true. Jeremy Bales, what's up, buddy?
Jamie Lee Curtis. I'm going Trading Places, not
Yeah.
Michael Myers.
Yeah. Oh, man, so good. Arthur Eugene Spooner. Hey, guys, I love George Payton. Me too. I loved him first. No, absolutely, Arthur. Miguel coming in with the dollar signs and the dollar eyes and the dollar tongue. It's all good. Absolutely. Lambo in the house. Hi, all good to see you. Chad's Shiny Marble. The steel as shiny as my bald head. Absolutely brand spanking new. To Hein. Good morning, Broncos country. Let's ride, baby. 7 more years. Future Hall of Fame quarterback. Yes, sir. James Coates in here. Kenny Zeidel. We got Kirk coming in. I don't think we did too much to protect Russ. I don't know if he's talking about the contract or the
that
around
sounds like
him.
An offensive line comment to me, Kirk.
Yeah, it does. Well, we have multiple years now to figure it out, right? C. Patrick Kavanagh coming in with the support, I'm sure. We appreciate you, C. Patrick, with the stars over on Facebook. And Richard coming in. They'd have to sign a deal day one, as most do when the trades like this are made. They waited a new ownership money bag. Absolutely. Tim saying it's a good contract. And Scott Miller coming in as well. But maybe the stars, no comment.
Yeah, thank you for the stars, Scott. That's good looking pup on there too.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Winning season has officially returned, and with the regular season just around the corner, there are plenty of opportunities to win at MyBookie. Whether you're a seasoned bettor or a first-time timer, MyBookie gets you the most for your money with the double deposit bonus up to $1,000. It's simple. Follow the link in the show description and sign up using our promo code Wilson2022 on your first deposit, and you'll instantly double your money with MyBookie Wilson22. It's simple. $250 deposit puts $500 into your account, and you can use your funds to bet on as many individual games, contests, and props as you want. Broncos at 4.5. Maybe that line's going to get bigger now with the good vibes in Broncos country against the Seahawks and bad vibes in Seattle. I'll tell you that with the quarterback competition there. So get on that. Bet on team win totals, predict the Super Bowl winner, or use MyBookie to the MyBookie prop builder to give yourself the edge you need to secure the bag this season. Again, use our code Wilson22 when you sign up and get your double your deposit. Follow the link in the notes and click to join. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere at MyBookie. Man, Scott, with my job, I have to read a lot of dates entries. And when I see 22, I just automatically say the actual year.
I cannot type the name George. I've gotten better with it with George Payton because I wrote Georgia 50,000 times. Like, when I was in recruiting, he's considering Auburn, Alabama, Georgia, Florida State, Tennessee, like that, Georgia. I cannot type George. It just automatically becomes Georgia.
Yep. Have a hard time with that 22. The 22, obviously 2022. Yeah, we got Mark Schrader coming in with the Stars as well, I'm sure. If not, they're coming. Thank you so much, Mark. Good to see you. Yeah, absolutely. Really exciting to see this. So, Scott, you tried calling me this morning. My phone, I was up already, but my phone is on Do Not Disturb until 6. Thoughts off the gate, and good job being on it. You guys can check out Scott's work over on Mile High Huddle. He's already got the piece published.
That's MHH staff. That's not me. So that's a collaborative effort. So I'm the alert guy. So making sure that it was seen early, just getting the news up, making sure the news was out there on MHH, knowing that we were going to be here to spread the news. So, and to talk about the news, first impressions were, we've talked about this a lot, going in, when's it going to happen? And, I've been in two minds on this one. It's like, it could happen right away. It feels like both sides want this to happen, but there's also not really a big rush to do this. Why not get a little bit of a feeling out period on both sides and kind of feel like this is where you want to spend the next 7 years of your career, and we want to give you $300 million. Those are big commitments on both sides. I think everything so far has meshed so well that, hey, this is it. And, as it was talked about, before Russell Wilson's going to approve a deal like this, there's got to be a good faith at the least that this is going to happen. We going back to the discussion of George Payton and how much capital does he have in that locker room with guys like getting to sign contracts with guys like Cortland Sutton and Tim Patrick last year, getting them to sign extensions when he didn't have a quarterback. Listen, guys, sign the extension. We're going to take care of the quarterback. Russell, we're going to take care of you. He's delivered on everything that he's promised his players. That's for sure. Now what's next? Now you've got your quarterback. Now continue to build, continue to get better, fill in some of the weaker areas of the team. And, you've got the most position secured for the next decade.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And some of the details of this contract coming out there, Russell Wilson getting a 245 5-year extension, but what does that mean? And we do have is it a team friendly deal? So here, let me pull up here from Adam Schefter, because that's the big deal here, of course. But the negotiations
Go ahead and share the screen, Nick.
Okay, let me pull it up here real quick. And
Miguel coming in with this question with some good stars from Miguel this morning. Says, I know the numbers haven't come out, but is this a team friendly deal? I haven't seen the structure exactly. But it's hard to say. Over the average of his contract right now, it puts him 7th in the NFL. That's not too bad. I mean, the quarterbacks are expensive. Franchise quarterbacks, they are expensive.
Yes.
But is it a team-friendly deal in the fact that it could actually lower the cap space in the first few years while you're trying to build and you're in that window? My educated guess is yes. You wonder towards the back end. What I want to do is see, okay, when he's 38, what's that dead cap number? When he's 39, what's that dead cap number? Because then you might say, you might have ended up front loading this, and you make a decision later depending on that dead cap number where you paid him a bunch of money up front for the first 5 years of the contract. The last 2 are exit years, so to speak. So we'll see.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see how the guaranteeds are spread out, because maybe the guaranteed, 165 guaranteed, which I think that's the big takeaway here. And I've already seen agents on Twitter mad about this.
That's pretty low.
Yeah. Well, saying that Russell Wilson is a company guy and I might get something on the back end from this, like accusing him of doing something pro league rather than pro player. Because we saw Deshaun Watson get the fully guaranteed contract. Kirk Cousins got a massive guaranteed contract. 165, considering what's been going around, is very low. And that's the number that shocks me the most. People will get sticker shocked by like, oh my gosh, that 5-year contract extension would put him as the second highest quarterback in the league. Well, that's 2 years from now. He's keeping the 24. He's keeping this year. He's keeping the 26 next year. It jumps up after that. But the 165 guaranteed, if most of that's this year and next year where he has zero guaranteed money, you have a lot, not most of it, but a lot of it. You have a lot of flexibility with this contract going forward.
So 165 over the next, that's probably in the neighborhood of 55 for years 3, 4, and 5 of this deal. So he's on 1 and 2, 55 million guaranteed for the first 3 years, so to speak. It won't be quite that much, but in 3 years, is a $55 million a year quarterback out of contention? No, I guarantee there's going to be at least one of those guys, that's going to be 55 million a year. So he's low, 55, 55, 55. And that puts him to 38 years old. Now you've got the 2 washout years for that signing bonus. So it won't be 55 guaranteed in the first 3 year. But, if he's 39 and 40, those are his age of those contracts for years 6 and 7. Those could be just extension years to keep the cap down. And yes, you might have to pay him $10 million in dead cap money or something in those 39 and 40 years, which you're willing to do to get him for these 5 years. That's, as it goes up, as the salary cap goes up, that dead money towards the end, and you never know, he might play till he's 40. He might see the end of this. My guess is he won't see the end of this 7-year contract. They never do. They'll do some restructuring, they'll do some payouts, but yeah, for the most part, it's a team-friendly deal.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we got Zach Hiller, agent in the NFL, saying a company guy doing favors for the establishment to keep the rest of the men down. He'll get something behind the scenes from this for the league. So it's really the
put on the back to. I'm not even gonna get to it. I'm not even gonna say what it is.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Russell Wilson, this is a big deal. Nobody should feel bad for him, but definitely feels like with the way the guaranteed contract.
Corny Russell Wilson. He's a product of the man.
Yep.
Yeah, he's going to make $200 million over the course of the next 4 years. Should we all be so freaking lucky? Come on, man.
Yeah, I am shocked, though, that I thought the way the league was going right now with how much power the quarterbacks have, especially future Hall of Fame elite quarterbacks. I thought a lot of these contracts would start to be fully guaranteed, or at least much more guaranteed. And to see this,
I think it is. If you look at it as this is a 3-year extension at $165 million, guaranteed. That sounds closer, right? Now he's on a 5-year deal worth over $200 million. That sounds right, doesn't it?
Yeah, yes.
So that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
This is now a 3-year extension for $165 million. I guarantee when we look, you're going to see the dead cap number drop off a cliff after 5 years. It's a 3-year extension, $165 million. You put those 2 add-on years to lessen the salary cap in the early years. And he's holding his salary now. He's holding his salary next year. And in year 3, 4, and 5, he's getting $55 million years each. Okay. He'll be 38.
Yep.
I mean, this isn't a 27-year-old guy or a 26-year-old guy. That's a 5-year deal that takes him to his 38 years old with 2-year club options, basically.
Yep. Some other things to talk about here with the Russell Wilson contract. One of the reasons that this is probably kicking in a few years from now is that the NFL salary cap with new TV contract money about to come in here in the next couple of years is going to explode. The salary cap, I would guess, what is it right this year? 240 million.
I thought every time I look at Spot Rack, it seems lower than that. Like it's like 210 or something.
210. Okay, well, I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, I feel like it's lower with the thought, what's the expectation, I guess is the word I'm looking for. That it's going to go up, 10, 15%. Well, let me see. Adjusted salary cap is 208.1 right now.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised in the next 2 years if we see it go up to 250.
Given what we've said, Nick, is what happens when the tech folks start thinking, you know what, we want football. What happens when Amazon says, you know what, I want Sundays now. Yeah. Apple says, I want Sundays now. They're dealing with trillions with a T, not the kind of money that they could do. So if that money goes in, it changes the way we watch football. But most of us are watching football through various online ways anyway. Yeah. You're not getting it on broadcast. Everybody's either cable or my cable and my internet's the same pipe. It's goes through Xfinity. So again, what happens when they decide to really get serious about this? If they do, there it's a different level, and that money will go down into, will filter down towards the players in the salary cap based on percentages of league revenue.
Yes, and just knowing that the timeline right now, there's new TV negotiation money about to kick in here, so expect the money in the salary cap to go way up. Another aspect about this, of course, is apparently this had been worked on for about the last 5 months, dating back to the combine. Even I think I read that before Russell Wilson was even traded, because once a deal like this happens, typically there's a contract that follows. Broncos get it done before the start of the season. If they hadn't got it done, sounds like it wouldn't have been approached until spring next year, but they get it done. So kudos to George Paton keeping this under the rug as well, and waiting until the ownership group comes into. Obviously, a big part of this is having the Walton Penner group with their gobloads of money. That's a technical term, of money to pay Russell Wilson this guaranteed contract. So really excited about this deal getting done. And the fact that we have a new contract for Russell Wilson that isn't, at least for me, sticker shock means it's a good deal. Typically you see these like market setting, or not market setting, but these deals for these premier well-known players. And it's like, oh my God, they paid him how much? I'm not getting that from this contract. So especially keeping this year and next year's money.
What were the last big deals though for quarterbacks?
Aaron Rodgers this year.
Aaron Rodgers was big. How long was that one though? Was it?
It was like hours before the Russell Wilson trade.
No, I'm sorry. For age, for time, was it 4 years, 3 years, 2 years?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Because what hits me, what comes to mind for me are the younger guys. Kyler Murray got a big deal. He's young. Deshaun Watson got a big deal. He's young. Forget everything else. Just talk about, a talented young quarterback. Big deal. Josh Allen got a big deal, early. He's young. So the fact that he's getting, still that type of money, but the belief is that, again, my guess is that this is, for all intents and purposes, going to be a 5-year deal. Once we see the numbers break down, that we can get Russell Wilson at a high level for 5 years.
Yep.
For 5 years, and then we'll adjust. We'll adjust as needed.
Yep. And you'd hope that coming down the lines here, some other guys that are going to get paid, getting Russell Wilson paid before next offseason, when Justin Herbert will be available for a new contract, where Joe Burrow will be available for a new contract. I mean, heck, Patrick Mahomes' deal is starting to look pretty small and puny compared to some of these guys. I should talk with his agent. I feel like I used to, hey, Darren Waller, you're not making enough money. And then he fires his agent and hires Drew Rosenhaus, and now he's going to be making
money under Drew Rosenhaus. He might not be happy, but he'll make money.
It's, you know what? Crying into his money. Glenn Hare. Morning, fellas. Big day for Broncos countries. Fingers crossed the offensive line holds up. One hole can bring down the whole unit, like you guys always say. Yeah, the offensive line is definitely concerning this season. I do think that you still have some depth there. It's just the health of the right tackle position. I'm not really worried about the floor of the interior. I think that they are going to be okay, especially with Graham Glasgow being your first guy off the bench. You can play all 3 spots. I mean, he'd start on probably 50% of the teams in the league. I really do believe that. But your right tackle position specifically, Calvin Anderson, sounds like not, how do I put this? Doesn't sound like everybody in the coaching staff front office is like big on him being a starting kind of guy. And the tape didn't really.
He wasn't brought in to be a starter. I mean, who are the 2 guys brought in to be starters?
Billy Turner was brought in to be the starter. Tom Compton to be more of a swing. But yes, those are the 2 guys.
So that's 2 names before I get to Calvin Anderson. Calvin Anderson is a good depth piece. Okay, we're into our depth before the season even starts. Hopefully Billy Turner can play. My question on this is, if Billy Turner is healthy, how good is he? Is he the answer? Last year we talked about this. Like, if there was one chink in the armor for me, it was right tackle. We kept talking all year. Oh, the Broncos have all this money. Well, you got a big hole. What are you doing? And I don't know the answer to this, but could you have done more? Could you have found somebody that is maybe on a contract that is paying them too much that the other team doesn't like? It's like, listen, we don't mind overpaying because we got the money. We got the spare money to bring this guy on a 1-year deal. We'll take on his contract, and we're going to send you, and you're going to send us a draft pick also. You're going to send us this player and a contract, and we're going to send you $12 million. So again, to me, it's the chink in the armor right now. And I felt like it could have been addressed better in the draft the last 2 years also.
Mhm.
We talk about you don't want a starter, we're not drafting for a starter on the offensive line this year, but it happens. There's going to be some guys that are starting as rookies that started last year as rookies that were really good, that are starting at right tackle this year in the NFL as rookies that are going to be pretty good, that we talked about a lot.
Yep.
So we'll see. Are they going to be better than Billy Turner? We don't know yet.
Yeah. We're going to get an eye on one of them week 1 with Abraham Lucas going up against Randy Gregory and Bradley Chubb. Good luck,
the
buddy.
reviews are really, really good so far.
Yes, they are. I still like our guys' chances, but that has partially to do with the quarterback as well, and the running backs.
No, I'm just, thinking
Yeah.
again, when we do what we do, it's not so much to me about the teams, it's the process. And if I go
Yeah.
out and say, you should take Abraham Lucas, by God, I'm rooting for Abraham Lucas. And I was a big fan of his throughout this process. So I will be an Abraham Lucas fan, not as much as I was a, a Spencer Brown fan, because I was really on that bandwagon.
Yeah.
But I'll be watching him. I felt that was a guy that was there that should have been taken, that got taken way too late.
Yep. Absolutely. CCC, Colby C. Collier coming in saying, wow, I wasn't expecting this news today. I was not either. Good thing to wake up to. I remember
Any of us were.
Yeah, nope. Closing the show yesterday. Scott, what are we going to talk about tomorrow morning, since Scott and I did Mile High Insiders last night? Not sure. Maybe the Malik Reed trade. Malik who? Sorry, Malik. But now we got some big things to talk about. Angela coming in. Hello to our Mile High Huddles ladies, saying, heard that we have Russell Wilson now for 7 years. 7 years of control. It's a 5-year extension. So the contract, as far as the impact on the salary cap, stays the same for the next 2 seasons. 24 million against the cap this year, 26 million against the cap next year, and then it's 196 million over 5 years after that. 200 and what is it, 245 or something like that. 196 was the guaranteed. I'm curious though to see how the guaranteed is spread out. I don't think they will keep this year and next year with zero guaranteed dollars on it and then lump all the guaranteeds on the back end of that. So still waiting to see what the structure totally looks like. But yep, Russell Wilson technically under control for the next 7 years. As Scott said, it's probably going to end up being a 5-year deal where the Broncos can finagle the money to create cap space in the moment to add guarantees later. If he's playing well enough, they feel comfortable enough attaching themselves to him further years down the road.
Yeah, there's definitely ways to do that. I want to wait until we can break it down more once we see the numbers and how it's backloaded. But I can take his salary, his guaranteed salary, his salary, base salary that's not guaranteed for year 6 and 7 and turn it into a signing bonus in year 5, and then give him $2 and a veteran minimum on 6 and 7 and lower the cap that way. And there's all kinds of ways to do that. And a key to do that is, one, is a player good? That, the talk about, the salary cap doesn't matter, it's just a myth. That's not true. It's not true. Trust me. I've seen it where it goes bad. You don't mind kicking the can down the road and extending as long as a player is still good. Where it starts running into an issue is when he starts to decline and gets old. So I don't want a 39-year-old guy with a $45 million dead cap hit because you kept kicking the can down the road. And Nick, I haven't seen that at all from George Payton. Every contract he has signed that I have seen has been very, very well done.
Yep. The only one where it kind of gave me pause in hindsight, obviously with the gift of hindsight, is signing Kyle Fuller, but it was a 1-year deal.
I was going to say that, and that was still a 1-year deal because that was the one that was money that wasn't spent so well. But Randy Gregory, risk reward. Okay.
Oh yeah.
$70 million. No. It's 2 years, about 30, I think is what we've broken it down to.
Yep.
Everything else is after the 2 years, you're off the hook. So the risk is, okay, I'm going to spend $30 million on this guy in 2 years. Am I going to get something out of it? But it's not a $70 million risk. And the reward for a Randy Gregory is well worth that risk. So the risk reward on it has been very good, even if it doesn't pan out. I'm not going to, again, like you said, in hindsight, that wasn't a great move because Kyle Fuller didn't pan out, but it was a good risk. It was a good risk to take. And that's all you can really ask of your general manager is mitigating your risks and making sure that you have exit strategies if the risks end up being, bad risks, if they end up going the wrong direction. And I think he's done fantastic with that.
No, absolutely. And Fallen Sloth, howdy Broncos country. How's everyone's day off? Hope everyone's day is off to a great start. Absolutely is. And we got Tilly Train coming in saying, I can see the team paying someone who has won for them, but Wilson hasn't even won one game for the Broncos yet. Shouldn't have the team have waited for him to see him win at least one game? The Broncos lost their leverage when they traded as much as they did to get Russell Wilson. So the fact that he's not resetting the quarterback market is good news to me. Maybe I have a different vantage point than you there, Tilly. But as far as waiting to see if he does something, at least he's won games in the league. I don't really care if he's won games for the Broncos. He's won and won consistently in the league and also put up great stats. Quarterback wins. I know, I roll. But it's not the 49ers trading for Jimmy G, who wins 6 games for them, but a very small sample size. And then they make him the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. We know Russell Wilson is a good quarterback. Now, is he top 3 elite or is he top 10 very, very good? Contract here says top 10 very, very good. I think he still has the ability to be top 3 elite in some point in his career here going forward. But Broncos aren't paying him like that. So that's another thing that is great for this deal. And this is before, again, let me state this. Over the duration of this contract, this is before Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow get paid, who are going to get paid. All caps, paid. Those guys are going to get amazing contracts.
And yeah, I get this, Tilly, and this is one of the reasons I said, you might want to hold off. It's a $300 million commitment. It's not really, I know, but for the shock value of the headline, $300 commitment, and it's a 7-year commitment from Russell Wilson. Why not have a little bit of a feeling out period? But, again, this guy has a track record. He is a veteran, and it's not like he was a system quarterback in Seattle, where, who are the offensive coordinators that have come out of New England have flopped horribly as soon as they left New England, horribly flopped. System guys. Okay, that's an offensive coordinator versus quarterback, I know. But he's not a system quarterback. He's a good quarterback with a long track record, and you're lucky to have him. And again, this isn't you're hitching your wagon to Russ for sure, but it isn't. He's not coming in and taking up. Okay, this isn't a cost prohibitive contract that keeps you from doing other things with the roster. Yeah. BD comes in. That's a good question. Welcome in, BD. Mr. Dunton, he says, hey, fellas, I thought our reserves on O-line did a great job of pass pro and running in the last game. Did you see it that way? In parts, I did. One of the things that I really kept an eye on was interior line, and I was really impressed with the center right side when Graham Glasgow in the first half was playing center and Luke Wattenberg was playing guard. It kind of took the mental aspect away from Luke Wattenberg, which can slow you down this much if you're thinking too much. So we want you to do your thinking during the week, and we want you to react on game day. Center is a very cerebral position, and having to call out checks and all those things can, even if it takes away 5%, he was good at guard. He was driving guys. He was getting to the second level. Graham Glasgow is a veteran who we talked about. So those two especially, I was very pleased with as your reserve offensive lineman.
Yeah, we'll keep talking about if Garrett Bowles goes down. The offensive line is trouble, although I'm more comfortable with Calvin Anderson at left tackle than right tackle. But really, it's the starting right tackle and just the quality of the interior offensive line. One thing about Russell Wilson, in my opinion, I could be proven wrong here, but the let Russ cook, let Russ throw 50 times a game, that's not the style of quarterback he is. I do think that because of his historical inefficiencies working the short middle of the field and the quick pass game, you probably need a running game to be above average to maximize Russell Wilson. It's not like, the Peyton Manning, the Tom Brady years, or Drew Brees years where they're essentially running the ball through the air with the quick pass game. I just never been Russell Wilson's game. He lives on the home run balls, and a lot of the short stuff needs to be efficiency from the run game. That all comes back to the offensive line, specifically the interior offensive line, standing out and playing well. You have questions there. I know the Broncos worked out a lot of centers in the draft this year. Lloyd Cushenberry has been the bottom 10 center, bottom 5 center to date in his career. Dalton Reisner never has lived up to his year one play. If anything, he's regressed some. We'll see if he improves with the zone blocking scheme. And Quinn Miners, we all love the belly, but he was drafted for a power scheme, and he's also an unknown in pass protection. He can get whiffed pretty bad in some pass pro reps. So a lot of questions there, but you do have depth in the interior. You feel good about Bowles being a solid contributor. Right tackle is the big one on the starting unit.
Yep, absolutely. Again, now let's work the trenches. You know,
Yep.
you feel good about the skill positions. You feel good. Let's work the trenches in the draft and free agency coming up for sure. Big E coming back on what I was saying earlier, says the Lions' old head coach, Notre Dame's old head coach. You want me to go on talking about former New England Patriots offensive coordinators who were made to look good by someone else? That's not the case with Russell Wilson. And frankly, Big E, I've got an award, a college football award. I call it the Charlie Weiss Award. Who has been paid the most money for accomplishing the least? And there might be, you can argue about like 2 or 3 and 4 and on down the line, but Charlie Weiss has run off and retired it. The award is named after Charlie Weiss, who gets a 10-year, $100 million contract from Notre Dame for almost beating USC and was fired a year later. Flopped to Kansas, just a complete freaking fraud as a head coach.
Yeah. Nope, it's going to happen sometimes. So, yeah, really excited about this Russell Wilson deal. Obviously, coming in here down the pipe, the Broncos have that done. Scott, what is your opinion on what this does for the Broncos this season? For Russell Wilson to have this done, for the locker room, you already talked about the deals of Patrick and Sutton, but to have this done, to have George Payton take care of this before the season starts, to set the table, to not have that even being a distraction going forward.
I don't think there's any envy at all. You know, this is the quarterback. This is what quarterbacks make. It's a different position. You know, we've grown up with the quarterback for years getting more attention. You know, from middle school on, the quarterback gets the attention. So I don't think there's any type of he's making what. You know, I feel that a little bit when you look at some of these salaries, and it's like, you know, when I was doing some research on the running backs, I'm like, wait a minute. Jonathan Taylor makes a third of what the highest paid running back on the Indianapolis Colts makes, you know, but that's part of it, getting out of that rookie deal. And they understand that a little bit too. So I think that's good. And then again, just to have that clear your mind, to not be asked about it. The last time he should hear about this contract from a media question and extension to be a distraction, it all should be today. That should be the last time Russell Wilson, if he's put out there. But the next time that he's put out in front of the media, they will ask him about his deal. He will put on that big megawatt smile talking about, man, I'm so happy to be here. I can't wait to be here. And it'll be all love. And that'll be the end of it. There won't be any distractions where, you know, talk to my agent. You know, I'm not thinking about that to the end of the season. Doesn't even have to think about it. It's nothing but a positive for this team.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So hopefully this is getting the things stirring there in Kansas City a bit. We need to start like adding Patrick Mahomes' agent on Twitter saying, hey, you suck at your job. Your guy should be getting way more money than he is to mess with that Chiefs salary cap space. But yeah, no, I see a lot of people field the Yates seeing that deal off the bat and then saying, oh, Russell Wilson making $49 million per year. Not counting the 24 and the 26 next year, dropping that money to about 42. Russell Wilson coming in as, I think, the 7th highest paid quarterback in that span.
Behind Josh Allen.
And just ahead of Derek Carr. Just barely ahead of Derek Carr as well. Would you take Russell Wilson over Derek Carr? I would. Derek Carr is a very good quarterback, but I think this is overall a very good deal. And again,
it's an argument. I mean, it's in the argument. You're not having one of those. Wait, Kirk Cousins is the highest paid guy in the NFL?
Yeah.
You know, that was last year. You know, it was Matt Ryan. You know, Matt Ryan and Kirk Cousins were the 2 highest cap hits in the NFL. Matt Ryan's fine, but he's way out of his limit. And that's not to his fault. All of that was from restructuring over and over and over again, kicking that can down the road. And now the Falcons are eating a $40 million cap hit. Kirk Cousins and Matt Ryan last year being the 2 highest paid guys, the 2 highest paid cap hits. That was out of whack.
Mm-hmm.
If you look and say, okay, there's Russell Wilson at 7, anywhere between even 6 and 12, you're like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I can live with that. Any of those guys are fairly interchangeable. And again, we talk about the line graph. You know, if we put 49 million, you know, 43.2, 43.0, 41.5, those are all pretty much straight across. They're all right in the same neighborhood as far as where he is for compensation.
Yep. And again, it's pretty shocking. Russell Wilson had all the leverage here. Mark Schrader coming with leverage here also, getting his chat shown. No, of course, Mark, we appreciate you for the super chat coming in here. Thank you so much, buddy. We appreciate that. But yeah, I know Russell Wilson had all the leverage here. The Broncos traded a bleep ton to get him, and there's no way they're going to let him walk. Now, granted, the Broncos still had 2 years of control left, but things could have gotten ugly, honestly, if it didn't work out after at this point, or if we got into next season and the Broncos play a little bit of hardball with Russell Wilson. We saw it kind of with the Seahawks as well. They traded all those picks for a safety, a box safety in Jamal Adams, and he hasn't really played that great, but he still got the absolute bank for the safety position because the Seahawks didn't have leverage because they traded so much. They already invested in him. They're not going to trade all that draft capital just to let him walk. So the Broncos getting it done, not having a market resetting deal, not having a 100% guaranteed contract. This is a great contract. I guess, Scott, we have been, all pom-poms and excited about this, which typically isn't our style. How could this go wrong for the Broncos? And we're going to clip this. I'm going to share this around so that we know that Scott Kennedy, certified Bronco hater,
I
right
like
down.
that. People ask all the time, are you rooting for this team? You're rooting for this team. I'm like, dude, I felt like we scored a touchdown when this came out. I'm like, this is big news. I'm excited. I'm excited for Broncos country. This is the kind of stuff that I cheer for these days. This is the stuff that excites me. And yes, I'm excited about the news. How could it go wrong? The obvious. I say I don't have to say it, then I'm going to.
You don't have to say the thing with the red cross on it. We'll skip past that one.
That's the obvious. That's how it goes wrong. But that's universal. That's absolute universal. That Russell Wilson relied more on his legs than we thought, and his legs start to go. Other than that, I mean, he is a competent pro. You're not paying him as a number one guy. You're not paying him as a number two guy. You're paying him as a good NFL quarterback. He is a good NFL quarterback. Now all of a sudden, Sierra gets in the news too much and is stirring up crap behind the scene. All those kind of things. It's the off the field stuff that could become a distraction that we've seen for the most part ain't. So, how could it go wrong? Oh, the team, the team gets off to a horrible start, and all the Nathaniel Hackett, oh gosh, I'm so excited to be here, and Russell Wilson, all that goes away, and things start to turn, and a new quarterback comes in. All of a sudden, you got Pete Carroll wanting to run an option. It's then you don't need the quarterback, but those are all so far down the line and so remote that this is a good deal. It should be, at worst, even, where it's like, okay, this isn't the why. We're not winning because of Russell Wilson, but we're not losing because of Russell Wilson. He's not going to be a negative to this team. I guess that's the best way I can put it. He shouldn't ever be a detraction to the Denver Broncos. So therefore, it's not going to go wrong.
I will say that, given what I've heard about Russell Wilson in training camp, if the Broncos are not winning and he's not delivering, he could maybe be a little bit of a distraction. I mean, has his own people in the building where that's never been a thing, even with like Peyton Manning, like his own trainers, his own staff, his whole family there. I mean, with like no restriction. And get it. I get it. He's the quarterback. He's the dude. He is the Broncos right now because he is the quarterback. So I guess if things go south, maybe that could get sour. Some of the relationships there, like, oh no, we don't want you going to your own trainer anymore. You need to use the certified trainers that we hire, et cetera, where things there could get a little testy, I guess. But
I mentioned envy. And why is this guy getting special treatment? How come I can't have my own personal coach walking around here? That type of thing. But that doesn't have anything to do with a new contract.
No.
That's just Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos. So when I took the question at face value, it's like, how does the new contract impact? Now, the Russell Wilson thing, that if he was here 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years, that isn't really changing. So the new contract, I guess the risk is more because you've got more of a chance for that to happen on a longer timeline.
Yeah.
So David Crumelo coming in with the blue super. He says, does the deal suggest Russ doesn't have much left? I'll let you hit on that one first, Nick.
7 years. The deal if it was not much left, I don't think the Broncos would have traded for him because they knew a deal would have to be right around the corner. And I think if anything, this deal suggests that Russell Wilson is more interested in winning football games. We've already had agents come out saying, oh, Russell Wilson, company man, he could have gotten more, blah, blah, blah. He didn't. The first person I want to thank here, first person I want to thank is George Payton. Number two, I want to thank is Sierra. Russell Wilson does not have to chase the bag because he's not the actual breadwinner he's winning plenty of bread. Don't get me wrong. I know, but it's the Tom Brady thing where he's married. It's a super couple. And because of that, I feel like the money is not as important as the the legacy. And I'm totally talking for Russell here. Obviously, there is some stuff about the money as well, but he doesn't have to go out there and get every single penny because his spouse is making more than him as well. And I think long term for them and their brand and everything like that, it's more important for Russell Wilson to win football games and be in the NFL limelight and raise that celebrity status than it is to maximize the contract here.
All right. Again, I want you to think of this as a 3-year extension at $165 million. Does that sound like he's leaving a ton of money on the table?
No, not really.
If anything, it might be, okay, I want a new deal and I want that money now.
No.
I want to tear up this contract, and instead of a 3-year extension, I want a 5-year deal at $250 million. So in that case, I might say, all right, I get it. But this kicks in 2 years. So in that case, is he leaving money on the table? Maybe, because he probably could have gotten 40 million, 43 million over 5 years, and he's talking about 200 guaranteed, but he's already getting that money. So it's 165 plus the 50 he's already getting. It's 5 years, 215 guaranteed. 5 years, 215 guaranteed for a 33-year-old quarterback. And we're talking about that's not enough. That's not, he's showing he's leaving it on the table. He doesn't believe in himself. They don't believe in him. Baloney. That's crap.
Yeah.
So if they had called this a 10-year deal, all that's nonsense.
Yep.
This is a 3-year extension, $165 million. He's basically on a 5-year deal, $215. That's good money. That's 42, 3, 42, which puts him 7th in the NFL.
Yep.
How much more? I mean, how much more was you expecting to get for him?
It's less than I thought. I thought for sure this deal would be coming in, and when people were originally tweeting it, 49.8 million or something, right behind Aaron Rodgers, 50 million a year. That's not including the 24 and 27 next year, not 26, excuse me, 27 next year. And we got Simon coming in here. It's been a bit, Simon, from Canada, saying, very happy to see Russ and the Broncos get this deal done. Now it's all about football. Can't wait for week 1. Tickets purchased in the Hawks Nest. I'll see you there, Simon. Follow me on Twitter. Hit me up. I'll be going to the game with my spouse. Excited for that. I think there's going to be, wear orange, too. I think Broncos country, we need to be loud about that. Wear orange because the orange permeates through the stands. Nobody else really has that. If you wear white or navy, you're going to blend in with the Seahawks fan. If we all are wearing orange, you're going to be obvious.
So Tommy Tuberville, when he had the Auburn, I went to Auburn. Went to a lot of football games there. They have the same color scheme as the Denver Broncos. And when he went there, he says, I want everybody to wear orange. And he changed that at Auburn. He says it shows up better on television.
Yep.
When there's orange out there, but I like the navy better personally than the orange, but I'd wear orange highlights. So I've got when I'm at Broncos country, I'll wear something, but for showing up on TV, it absolutely shows up better in orange. I mean, ask Tennessee. Good Lord. That's an orange only a mother could love, but you don't miss it. That's for damn sure.
I think about the Cowboys game last year where the Broncos went there, and it looked like there were more Cowboys fans than Dallas fans in that stadium because the orange is just so bright. It stands out. It's
like 3 people, it's me, and then on either side of me, the orange is just blaring.
Yep. Gotta lean into that. Kathy coming in. Good to see you, Kathy. I see a new profile picture there over on Facebook saying, hello, Scott, Nick, and Broncos country. New deal will be a good deal in 2 years. Let's ride. Yep. We got some other contracts coming down the books. I also didn't mention Lamar Jackson. He's got a contract that's going to be happening at some point here. He'll probably get one, I think, probably similar to the Russell Wilson deal, maybe a little bit more, but he's weird because the Ravens are dragging their feet, the style of quarterback play, et cetera, et cetera. But definitely that's one to watch out for. And then Herbert and Burrow also. So will be very interesting to see how that plays out. Thank you so much, Kathy. Good to see you. And Scott, I do want to ask you, we've been talking Russell Wilson here a lot about the contract. This was obviously the next big check mark for the team. And we got the big Lebowski coming in here with $20 over on YouTube. Coach Chris, the man, the dude, saying it's been a while since I was this excited for the start of a season. Let's go Denver Broncos for ride. Let's ride, Coach. No, absolutely. We're excited too. Thanks for joining us today. Love the Jeff Bridges profile picture from the dude.
Thanks, Coach Chris. You've been hopping in several times to close out this month, so I know you're ready for football season. And the bye week feels like a little bit of a, it's like, okay, I'm preseason, and then I've got the bye week. Damn it! Yeah. But there's so much news that's happening this week that it almost we're to Thursday already. Blink twice, have a weekend, and it's game week. So it does it goes fast for me, man. I don't know about you, especially
Yeah.
this weekend where I'm driving all over freaking South for soccer games again. But it does go fast. But Coach Chris, thanks for being here, coming in and checking in with us this morning and supporting the show. It's such a huge help. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jared's saying, say bye to the orange. I don't think the orange is going anywhere. The Navy is
No, the
boring.
highlights will be there for sure. I mean, the Denver
Yeah.
Broncos are blue and orange. They're not.
Yeah.
The orange isn't going away.
If anything, the blue will change. It might go from a navy blue to a more royal blue. The blue might change, but
Real quick, Nick, before we change subjects again, I want to get back on the money issue here.
yeah,
About how this goes and could it go wrong, et cetera, and where does it start to not make any sense? I mentioned Kirk Cousins last year. He's still on $35 million a year. Jared Goff, 33.5. Carson Wentz, 32. That's 10, 11, and 12 in average contract values across the NFL. That's when you start becoming cost prohibitive, when you've got an expensive guy that isn't helping you win games.
mm-hmm.
I don't see that as the case with Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is going, and we'll know it in 4 months, 5 months. You go from 7-10 to 11-6, and the quarterback play is a big part of that. You'll know he's worth every freaking dime. But Kathy said this contract will look good in 2 years. It looks good now because he's not getting any more money up front. He's not negatively impacting the salary cap in the first 2 years, and then it basically becomes a 3-year, $165 million contract. So at that point, when he jumps from 24, 27 to 55, it will be it's not going to look like, hey, he's not getting paid enough. Right now, he's underpaid. Absolutely. Yep. Right now, he is. Right now, he's a bargain.
And he's a bargain next year, too. And the way the contract is set up, because it's not fully guaranteed, George Payton has a lot of flexibility to move money around just from a accounting perspective to create cap space to go pay players on the open market. I know that right now he's for $27 million next year, and I saw some comments earlier. The Steelers did that with Big Ben. There is a point where the quarterback's at the end of the deal that you are eating it when they're at the end. But if you are in your window to contend, those are hard and those are not guaranteed. So I honestly don't have a big deal kind of doing what the Saints did there a little bit, to speak, where you're putting it on the back end, especially when you have the richest owner in football, where the guarantees and whatnot don't mean anything. You can pay guys guarantees. It's not an issue from the back end side of things. It's more of a salary cap concern. So Broncos are going to have a lot of flexibility there because of the way this Russell Wilson deal is set up, where they can move money around, lower his cap hit next year to make money for Bradley Chubb, to make money for Draymond Jones, to bring in a high paid right tackle or receiver or something, because of the way the contract is set up. If it was fully guaranteed, you do not have much ability to lower the cap hit this year, raising guarantees later, not changing the overall earnings, just playing with the guarantee. But because it's not fully guaranteed, you can move the pennies around to create space as needed over the length of the deal.
So we're talking Russell Wilson. The chat seems to be talking uniforms here. So uniform colors. And Clee says the only reason I don't like the Navy is because it's too close to the Bears. And while I'm thinking about it, Jeremy kind of answers with me. It's like, I almost think of the Bears as black. Theirs is almost black compared to the blue. It is a different color scheme. And again, I'm biased. Doesn't mean I'm wrong, because where I watch some of my favorite football games of all time were navy and orange. It's a good scheme. It's a good scheme.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I guess I'll pull up what I prefer personally.
And Kathy asked, do we already know the exact contract numbers in detail every year? I don't think so. I don't think it's been released yet, the structure of it. That might happen after it gets signed. But once we see it, we'll break it down, Kathy. And I'm going on record now as my prediction is basically it will look like a 3-year extension with 165 guaranteed, and you will see that number, that the salary, the compensation in year 4 and 5 versus the dead cap number will be vastly different. The dead cap number will be much smaller than the salaries in years 6 and 7. So I meant 4 or 5 of the extension. I'm sorry. Yeah. 6 and 7, you will see a big drop off in the dead cap money. Yep. So that tells you that's where the contract ends. That's where it becomes, okay, these are just numbers added on to lower the number in the beginning of the years, but these are become very flexible. So that's my prediction. from an educated guess, and we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, then we'll see how it goes. This is the uniform concept that I want. I like the highlight.
That's 2 Gators, man.
No, it's lighter blue. It's much lighter
It is
blue.
absolutely way 2 Gators. Depending on the tint on your screen, that's Florida frickin' Gators.
Okay, I disagree because they have much more of a royal blue, and this one is more
You
of a
don't
highlighter
watch the
blue.
Gators enough, because they absolutely have, and I'm going to look this up for you too they absolutely have that scheme with a powder blue.
Powder blue one. Okay, well, I don't think of that as the Gators. I think of more of a royal blue with the Gators because I think of Tim Tebow. But the navy blue is boring. I think 33% of the teams use navy blue as a primary or secondary. So yawn for me on that one. I like my favorite uniforms in football right now are the Chargers, and they are fast, high-paced, high-octane offense screaming, we're going to put 50 on you. I think the Broncos doing something like this does that more than the navy blue, which is just, it puts me to sleep. Just puts me to sleep.
I like the old Chargers with the royal blue and yellow. That was very similar to a really good local club team that played youth team that I grew up with in Cobb Union. But I was a fan of the Air Coryell years way back in the day with Dan Fouts and all those guys. But I did like the royal, but not the powder, not the it's almost like Carolina, but that's 2 Florida Gators for me.
I like the powder, the old Elway ones. My favorite. We got Tony Briscoe saying troll alert. Not sure what's going on there. But we got Lions blue is dope. Yeah, that Honolulu blue is great, and I'd love them to go back to the D as well. And EJL coming in saying any uniform is better than what we have now. Go back to the horse jumping out of the D. Yep, I'm with you too. The current
I'm absolutely with you on that. I've been railing on that since y'all have met me.
Yep.
The generic swoosh logo that came in with the Jaguars and Panthers. The newfound where everybody's logo looks exactly the same. The outline, it's identical. It's that swoosh, whatever.
Yep.
They all look the same. Man, I love the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I love, the old Buck. I love the old Patriots. I love the old Broncos. Get off my lawn. I know, but at least they were unique.
Yeah.
They were distinguishable instead of the meh.
Yep. And Sheldon coming in here, colors have nothing to do with winning. Absolutely. And anybody who says the Broncos lost 3 Super Bowls in whatever uniform and won 3 in another, jerseys don't win Super Bowls. The players in the uniforms win Super Bowls. They could be wearing pink and yellow, sponsored by Fluoride or something. Who cares? It's the players in the uniforms. It's just more of the aesthetics, in my opinion. But yeah, navy blue. God, I'm going to sleep here. Everybody uses it. That's why I want them to keep the orange primary for sure. So yeah, back to the contract talk here, because the chat is really talking. Man, on the day of Russell Wilson's contract, we're spending 10 minutes talking uniforms, but we all have our opinions on this. Who's next? What happens after this? Probably nothing happens before the season starts, but in your opinion, where is the priority for these next contracts here? Or are we just kind of flushing it all?
I have to look and see, who's coming up. It's too early for the Javonte Williams types. That's somebody, and I know how you feel about second contracts anyway. Yep. So, who's coming up? Where's Draymond?
That's the one. That's my guy.
Where's Draymond in this? And depending on how fast a start Bradley Chubb gets off to, if he comes out with his hair on fire, do you offer him a low ball-ish extension with good guaranteed money? Or do you wait for him to finish the year? If he has a monster year, you tag him and he's making $20 million. But do I offer him, if he comes out really well the first 4 games, do I offer him something with, a 2-year, $30 million, 20 guaranteed? So that's someone you have to keep an eye on. Kind of how does, where's Justin Simmons in this? He's, I think he's probably okay for the next couple of years. Garrett Bowles still has a monster deal. I mentioned, you don't necessarily want to keep kicking the can down the road, but there's money to be had there and a reworking for Garrett Bowles. So again, and in Chase hit the same too, Draymond and Chubb, and then start. You've got a fifth. Is it this come after this next year? You got to make a decision on Jerry Jeudy and a 5th-year option.
Yep.
And then Pat Surtain will be coming up next year. He's gonna get a deal.
Yep.
But Draymond and Chubb are the 2 that comes to mind for me. And Jared says, we'll tag Chubb. No, I would disagree with that. Again, you're going for, if he has a monster year, yes, throw the tag on him, and he might not want to play on that, and then you can trade for him. If he has a monster year and he's a $20 million edge rusher, you can get a first-round pick for Chubb, and change. But, is he going to play like a $20 million a year guy? We'll see.
I would pay Draymond Jones now. Jared said Jones needs to play well to be re-signed. I think Jones has already played well, and I think if anything, this scheme this year and the edge talent around him is going to make him look like a top 10 interior defensive lineman. And I think right now you could maybe pay him for less. My understanding is Draymond has no desire to sign a contract prior to the end of this season because he is betting on himself to shine out this season, which good for him because I think he will. But Draymond Jones is the one I would be approaching right now, seeing if I can get anything done before the season or even midway through the season, because I think he's a not a superstar, but like a blossoming, really high impact interior pass rusher.
And Jared, take a breath, man. 7 of the last 8 comments on YouTube are you, so put him as one. That when that starts happening, it discourages other people from participating. So pump the brakes just a little bit, my friend. Coming in here, and thank you, Gary was talking about throwing in his 2 cents on where he wants the color scheme, coming in with the stars. So Gary's coming in green. That's where Gary's coming in. He says, I like a little more blue, not a knock on any previous version, but I think we need a change. Again, the helmets, just the logos are all the same. Eric Weber coming in with some stars. Thank you, Eric. Welcome in. It's been a big morning, as we kind of thought it would be with the news coming in, high viewership. So welcome in, everybody. Making sure you hit that like, subscribe, and share, and you can join us every morning. We seem to be here a lot. Eric says, morning, Nick and Scott in Broncos country. All y'all. That's right. You must be from near my neck of the woods. The old D logo is a must. Winning is what matters. Got to beat each division rival at least once. Glad we locked up Russ, but want to see some waiver wire or free agent reinforcement moves by Peyton. We've talked about that. Could use another 300-pound defensive lineman and keep an eye on the corners as well. And yes, if the AFC West beats up on one another, as long as people come out healthy, so what? You come out of 3-3, there's 14 other games. If everybody in that division goes 3-3, the division isn't going to decide who wins the division. It's how you do outside of the division is what's going to matter.
Yeah, absolutely. And we got some more info coming in here from Andrew Brandt. Andrew Brandt, executive director, does a lot of stuff with ESPN and the business side of sports. And here's some information on Russell Wilson's deal as it comes out. Would like to see it in more of a graphic or grid format, but this will have to do for now. We have $50 million signing bonus on this, along with previously paid $5 million roster bonus earlier this year and $2 million salary, 57 for Russell Wilson this year, not against the cap, but cash flow actually, making him the second highest paid player in the NFL this season behind Stafford, making $61.5 million, $20 million guaranteed option bonus in March 2023. So over the next 8 months, Russell Wilson will make 77. So there's the money. So I guess that's $30 million this year and $20 million next year if you're splitting that $50 million signing bonus. Third year, 2022, or excuse me, third year, I did it again, Scott. Third year, $22 million option bonus plus $17 million salary for $39 million. So 3-year cash flow is $124 million. That compares favorably against recent deals for Carr, $100 million, Murray, $105 million, and favorably against deals like Allen, $95 million, and Mahomes, $63 million. So the guaranteed cash is very high for Russell Wilson, while the cap hit itself doesn't really explode until year 3. At least that's how I read it.
Yeah, which is understandable. And again, you start looking at those numbers and where he compares and the money that's coming in, and you're going to talk about him leaving money on the table. Come on, guys, get a grip. It starts coming off as an agenda against Russell Wilson and him being corny. Enough.
Absolutely. Doesn't hurt, though. This is not a market resetting deal, and the Broncos had a little bit of leverage because the 2 years still on the deal, and they got it taken care of. So really exciting, great news in Broncos country. Really great. Also, the fact that, Deshaun Watson getting a fully guaranteed contract, and then Russell Wilson coming around and getting only, but in comparison, $165 million guaranteed is a win for the Broncos and a win for Russell Wilson as well, of course. But surprising to me.
And we can all agree that you don't want to follow the Cleveland Browns when it comes to doing business in the NFL.
Yeah. Yep. No, absolutely. So Scott, we're at an hour. Any final words before we wrap it on up and get out? Obviously, the Broncos, Russell Wilson getting a massive contract before the season starts, setting the table for what should be a very exciting 2022 season and a new era in Broncos country.
Oh, it's very good news for the Denver Broncos. There's no question anymore about, okay, if this goes wrong, you're going to lose them. No, there's time. It doesn't have to all click right away. Um, we think that the offense and stuff, we think this team's going to be better right away for sure, but it doesn't have to. This gives you a longer window. So you're stable. The franchise looks stable right now. You've got a young head coach you believe in, you got a franchise quarterback, and you got a general manager that a lot of the people in the NFL will envy. That's a pretty good triumvirate right there. So things are looking good for Broncos country. I've called y'all spoiled before. You don't know hard times, but it's time to get back to being where you were, an alpha franchise in this league, and this is another big step in the right direction.
Yep, absolutely. And we got Kenneth Booker coming in here saying more breaking news. The $5 super saying just signed a Broncos $26 a year, $23 guaranteed. So he just gave us about 1/5 of his money from the Broncos here. So thank you so much, Kenneth. We appreciate you.
Yeah, appreciate you spreading the love, Kenneth. Everything we can get, every one of those pennies that comes in helps me get to some of these events that we're doing. That's how I'm paying for these. Y'all are helping me get to the meet and greet and out to London to do Broncos country coverage when we're doing those things. So it all matters. It does, absolutely. And we thank every single one of you.
Yeah, and also some more breaking news here. Biggest news of the day, according to CC, saying the Broncos signed offensive lineman Will Sherman to the practice squad per his agent Mike McCartney.
Was he an
Sherman went.
American Pie?
I think so. The redheaded dude,
The
Shermanator.
Shermanator.
Sherman did go to CU, so he's a Colorado buff. So maybe some of you guys know that, and was drafted by the Patriots in the 6th round this year. So some news there. I don't remember him at all, but we'll close on that. And good to see you, man. Great news in Broncos country. Excited, Scott. What's the rest of your day looking like? And hard to top what we've already done today.
Yeah, got to get some work done. We'll keep an eye on the waiver wire because most of these teams only have 13 guys. I guess this would be 14 for the Denver Broncos at signed. So there's still 2 spots open. The initial 53-man roster will change drastically. So again, who's on the 53 now? Set the over-under at 4 on how many of those guys will be different come next Friday. So there's going to be movement in there. And I'm also looking forward to Mile High Huddle podcast tonight. We haven't seen Chad and Zach for a while. Happy Zach is a fun Zach, and he will be glowing. He's been calling for this to get done early just because he knows it's going to be more expensive. It's like, get it done, get it done, get it done. So I know that Zach is going to have a good time tonight. So we'll see you on Mile High Huddle tonight at 6 o'clock, 6:15, at 6:15 Mountain.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you guys have a good one. I am off to St. Louis tomorrow. I got gonna hang out with the old man and watch the Cardinals hopefully beat up on the Cubs with seats right behind home plate. So look for me, I guess, on TV in that game, and go Cards. We got Mark coming in here saying thank you, Scott and Nick. Thank you, Mark. That's the one we want to thank, and also thank you, George Payton, coming in here. Man, how quickly, just before we get out of here, I know we're already long, but how things change in 1 year, 2 years time. We go from the John Elway, Joe Ellis, Drew Lock versus Teddy Bridgewater, Drew Lock versus Joe Flacco era of football in Broncos country. And just, there was still hope because you always are going to be blind to your team in Broncos country, but like not hope founded on rationality, which I'm not demanding from fans. But now here you are. Sorry.
It feels like you went from kind of a good old boy network. This is John Elway was Mr. Bronco. He's the guy, family run, good old boy business, to you brought in a shark. And I mean that in a good way, because for all intents and purposes, George Payton seems like a good human being. But he's a shark. And that's a good thing to have in your front office. Even if he wasn't a good human being, you've heard me say before, we don't have to go get coffee together. We don't have to go out and play around at golf. By God, I want you running my team. I've been just thoroughly impressed. And that, along with now the financial backing, that will be the head of your team for the next, however long. It could be, 20 years that he could be a general manager and really create something long lasting and a legacy of his own. I certainly feel like he got the right guy at the top of the organization. And, the rising tide lifts all. Things have gone in the right direction since he's been hired, and it keeps going that way.
Peyton in here, Russell Wilson in here, new ownership. Just the direction is great. And you obviously don't want, we can acknowledge that the end of Elway's era in Denver was not good while still being thankful for him setting the table for what happened. You don't have the draft picks to trade for Russell Wilson or the cap situation to do all these things unless during those rougher years, field product wise, you set yourself up salary cap, draft pick wise to do that. So, absolutely, is still good things, even though the product was poor on the field for the last few years. So don't want to totally disparage, but I mean, just how quickly things changed and where we are now. I mean, you could have simulated this on Madden and I wouldn't have believed it, like that kind of thing. So exciting. We haven't even talked about how fun Nathaniel Hackett is too. It's still a question mark there, but at least, fun with a capital FUN on that one. So going to be great.
The capital FU, what? And Jeremy Sean, I never want to disparage, the John Elway legacy. Listen, I'm a child of the 80s. I grew up watching John Elway and all the things he did, for sure. So, and one of the signs of genius, so to speak, is knowing your own limitations, and so for John Elway to acknowledge, hey, listen, I'm not getting this done. Take a step back. This is your guy. Terrific. Awesome move. Nothing but respect for John Elway. But, the personnel decisions and the financial decisions that were being made as I'm looking at these contracts that are coming off and the people in them over the previous 5 years, we're subpar. We're not up to Broncos quality.
Yep. 100%. Well, guys, we're going to have to get out of here. I got to get on moving. I'm sure Scott does as well, but thank you so much for joining us today. Make sure you're following Scott and I on Twitter. Scott is, of course, at Scout Kennedy. I am at Nick Kendell MHH. Again, hit me up on Twitter if you're going to the game in a couple of weeks. I'm not sure exactly what I'm doing yet. I need to sit down and just talk with Chad to see what's going on. But absolutely, I will be there with my wife. Also, yeah, we need to get some more likes in here. 10 likes for 200 plus watching. We have way more over on the YouTube side. Maybe it's just where you're at YouTube side, Jared. But thank you for calling that out. Make sure you guys are liking and subscribing to the show, as it says here underneath. Also follow us at Broncos for Breakfast podcast account on Twitter. It's at BFB_pod, and the mothership account at Mile High Huddle. If you haven't done so yet, join. Oops, sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. You were running through it, and I wanted to say good morning to Patrick. Patrick's out in Hawaii, waking up. Just finished off the original brand, lioncoffee.com. Thank you, Patrick. Good to have you here. Welcome in. It is real early where you are, so good morning.
Yeah.
That's about 4:40 in the morning on my watch.
Yeah, good morning to you, Patrick. And I sent Patrick my picture of me holding my coffee with Rainier and the lenticular cloud around it. So you can use that free sponsorship for Lion Coffee. Drink it anywhere. It's not just for Island Time. Island Time is any time for good Lion Coffee. But make sure you're following us at facebook.com/Mile High Huddle and facebook.com/Mile High Huddle pod. And of course, as the ticker says underneath, I already said it, subscribe, like, and share over on YouTube. Click that bell icon on YouTube so that way you get alerts when we go live. And fun, it's, man, a lot of fun today. Fun's just getting started, guys. The season is right around the corner. We're going to live and breathe Broncos, and we're going to live and breathe it with you guys. So it's great when you're joining us and commenting, and we're all kind of just experiencing this together. We appreciate you. Things are going to be a lot more enjoyable from here. I know that I'm not expecting rationality because the stakes are so much higher now. Everybody's going to live and breathe on every play, let alone every game. But going to be fun regardless, and we're going to be here to help you digest all of the Broncos news as it happens throughout this season. And yes, Patrick, go back and listen to the show because we definitely broke it down. But it's a 5-year, $245 million extension. So the 2 years are still there for this year and next year as far as how the contract is set up. So appreciate you guys. We got to get on out of here. We're over an hour now. You guys have a great one. Choose compassion and choose kindness. And just for today, let's ride.